This is an interesting piece of journalism. It's a real story. It's a continuation about something that was on yesterday, which was this, I don't know, yesterday was a Heathrow baggage claim, and then it was about all the complaining passengers about the pilot shortage. But then I did a piece because Tuskegee was mentioned, and the fact that I know I was never offered, I was offered wings from a commercial airline pilot once, maybe more than once, I don't remember. But I was not offered the ability to take pilot lessons or to join aviation club of some sort. There's been no integration of that for some reason. I don't know why. They did, however, allow me a driver's license. So in an emergency, if I know where the hospital is, I can get from here to there by myself or one of the kids. But pilot license I never got off the ground, I suppose. Now I'm looking here, and it has the end of the segment has a piece, and it says American Airlines, and it says will no longer fly to, and they name 3, and it says regional pilot shortages. I bet. It says toll, Edo, and then O. Then it has hack, A, New York. And then is lip, New York. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know who's calling these shots, but here we are. I mean, it says toll, and then Edo. Oh. It says hack, A, New York, and is lip. And it says regional pilot shortage. Interestingly enough, same time, I never see YouTube ever advertised. I didn't even know it was possible. I've heard through my kids that kids open a YouTube channel, some kids get these multi-million-dollar contracts to open gifts and film themselves, and they get discovered. I mean, whatever. But I have no idea how it's actually used and operated. But today there's some basketball player who testified on Long Island. He was part of this final 2022, and there was a sheet behind him like there used to be when I worked at Exit Realty, there where I would win an award, or some kind of mention or whatever. But it says YouTube next to final 2022, which looks like it has an NBA connotation. Not quite sure how that, whatever, partnership aligns. But hang on. And now what's interesting is it's another use of the word smart. There's apparently a player on the Celtics. I had no idea. Again, I don't really follow along with their particular sport. Don't want to tick off other important people in the world, picking one sport, favoring one over the other, or whatever, and whatever. But this is interesting.
Fresh off playing in the NBA Finals, Boston Celtics point guard Marcus Smart testified for the government today in a multi-million-dollar health care fraud case.
Now, in this case, he was impersonated in a scheme to rip off the league's benefit plan. Eyewitness News reporter Shantae Lands is live in Central Iceland with more. Shantae?
Sandra and Dave, Marcus Smart testified here that he was emotional and that it was hard for him to play after finding out that he was impersonated as part of a multi-million-dollar healthcare scheme.
Now, at the end of this piece, it says, without the help and participation of the FBI, he would have had no idea that he was being impersonated.
Fresh off the NBA championship game, Boston Celtic star point guard Marcus Smart found himself inside the federal courthouse in Central Islip. Prosecutors say that...
So now in special process, this one's federal court.
The 28-year-old was a victim in a $63 million healthcare scheme. Smart testified at the federal fraud trial for 54-year-old medical biller Matthew James. Prosecutors say James defrauded insurance companies and stole the money. They say he did that by fraudulently billing for procedures that were different than what was actually...
Now, here's that name James, and in New York State, there's some attorney general goes by the same name. Big problem with keeping your name clean when big fraud schemes are going on and nobody's cleaning them up because you don't want your name to get dirty.
Actually performed, or in Smart's case, was never performed at all. Smart testified that in July 2018, he hurt his right hand after punching a picture frame in a Beverly Hills hotel. He told jurors that although he went to the hospital to have the glass pulled out, he never tore his tendon and did not need surgery. Prosecutors say James impersonated Smart in several phone calls to Smart's healthcare provider, Cigna. Several audio recordings played in court revealed a male caller saying, quote, "My name is Marcus Smart. The doctor is saying that I owe $104,000. Prosecutors asked Smart, "Do you recognize this voice?" Smart responded, "No, ma'am. I've never heard it in my life." Prosecutors say it was a few of thousands of fraudulent calls made by James. They say he also worked with corrupt doctors to stage emergency visits. Prosecutors say James netted $63 million in the scheme by taking at least 10% from the fraudulent claims that were paid.
$63 million. And this is happening between the U.S., the Fed, and the local area. Why isn't it like, where are the FBI agents to work with the people who could participate and crack down on this abuse of power and fix things and help fund the correct things? Where are those people?
They say he used the money to buy 5 mansions and a Ferrari. And the basketball star testified that he learned that he was being impersonated by the FBI. Live outside of the federal courthouse in Central Islip, Shantae Lands, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Shantae. A caretaker.
So now they make it sound like without the FBI's help, which used to be a specific whatever, that then you have no shot at keeping yourself straight or healthy or happy or have a life or enjoy anything whatsoever. So that's really curious. Other thing is, I was pretty sure, again, my dad was a principal. So I'm pretty sure, a licensed principal no less, in New York. At some point, that word senator lately in this local area gets really messy. When I was a kid, when I rang the bell, I was pretty sure that they said something about senators, like the way, like a really easy, they normally fly, and they normally have friends that fly, that stay together. That's like a really easy way to know which level of whatever is accurate. Now, I saw this morning, and I know what he looked like. Let's just say that. This morning, I saw some woman who the news put at the bottom that she was a senator. And I'm like, wait a minute. She doesn't look like the man from the farm that was the original government that I arrived with. And there's also another man here in this local zone or district or whatever, goes by this senator title. He also does not look anything like what represented itself originally. That goes along with the system of green linen, silver coin, and the entire or American history lesson. The few portraits in picture books, the entire North American history that we were set to go with. Again, these two examples of local area, zone, and district. Where do you report that level if that's fraud? And also, this woman this morning on the news had the title senator underneath her, and I'm like, now how did that happen ever? This is like a miswiring and a challenge of things that should never be challenged. And then somehow it's being presented to the public misfigured and disfigured as if it's some new agreeance or norm. Not okay.
Safety-related announcement and...
Here's what happened at noon in New York. This is what they're broadcasting. Which, again, I'm not taking part in this. I have no idea how this exists and how this is even allowed. I mean, a whole nother schematic of fraud with movements of populations that have been accumulating in I don't even know how, and now are trying to rewire the system and retitle the system to give themselves a prestigious place.
At 2 p.m. as this community continues to search for answers. Another innocent person shot
And this is about gang violence in New York City, no less.
And killed.
It was my shirt that was used to put on his wound because...
Now the man has Sesame Street. Now it reads C-S-E and then same on street. Just so we get it clear, because the other day they put up some civil war that went on in Africa where they were running around with AK-47s or AR-15s, not quite sure, because, again, I don't study this stuff. But now that looking population somehow found a way over here, and this erupted.
We didn't know what to do. You don't know what to do with a gunshot wound to the head.
That young man was at that cookout, rushing to help the victims after police say rival gang members fired dozens of rounds. The cops recovering this gun, but they say more weapons were used. At this press conference, State Senator Cordell Clare called for addressing what she called underlying issues.
We have to make sure that there is employment for young people.
Okay, so now she's posturing and acting in the public as a senator. How did that happen? Founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson. I mean, I know for certain she's not on the green linen or silver coins. So I'm confused how this senator title is misappropriated and why area management is not rectifying this for the public's safety and concern about misrepresentation. I've seen the title Congress or Assembly. I don't even know what that really means. But now they're going with this word senator. I don't even know what that means, honestly, in the, like, deficient educational system that I arrived to. But what I can tell you is it's really scary and the numbers that are accumulating from I don't know where. Here's the woman herself, and now this is just one section of population that just, like, arrived, and there's been no, like, hey, white lady that now sticks out like a sore thumb. Your Homeland Security team thought you might want to know. There's some people arriving. Here's their sensitive spots. This is where they came from. Like, I mean, there's been none of that to prepare what's here, which leads me to believe that someone in management was unprepared for their, like, mass exodus. And, like, I don't know. There was some planning that went into this. I have no idea with who.
That there is affordable housing for people to live in.
But this neighbor told me there's a more immediate solution.
Stop and frisk again. You know what I mean? Because it seems like, okay, now they putting a tracer on the ghost guns. You know, hopefully that goes through. But, you know, some people really need to be stopped and frisked.
That shootout at this park along the Harlem River Drive injured 8 people and killed 21-year-old Darius Lee.
Here's the other thing. If they're going on this voting and election system in New York, which I'm not even a part of, they don't even invite me in. I don't hear the issues. They don't invite me into hearing their issues, to putting some kind of planning board together. They've kept me out completely. They also don't send me voting dates and times and when these people are up for election. They've, again, shut me out completely, yet they're functioning somehow, and I don't know who's allowing such things, inside the state of New York, inside the United States of America, inside the territory known as the USA. So now that's confusing, because now you've got drug and, like, whatever laws. And, like, you've got them here. They're abiding by some system, but now you're letting them vote who the head of the gang is? I mean, like, again, I get that there has to be some kind of management, but senator? That's far-reaching. I mean, this is North America. This isn't Africa. And if it was such a good system in Africa, why did they leave? These are security threats that now I've inherited and my children are inheriting for I don't know what reason.
A star basketball player at Houston Baptist University. His coach speaking to Bill Ritter.
Tell me why he was so special.
He was our university's male athlete of the year this year. I mean, that's how highly he was thought of on our campus.
Lee's father witnessing that magic.
When he played, he played. The last game I saw him play, he scored 55 points.
Meanwhile, Lee's sister Tiara Weaver told us she's still in shock. Her brother, home from college.
Again, story. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.